I'm told the number one fear people have is speaking in public. It's the one fear I don't have. Join me for the Love Speaks series, where we leave fear behind and we speak love. Loving our story, loving speaking, doing what we love, loving each other, and loving ourselves. Our stories are what connect us and make us better humans. So join me and my Love Speaks friends for some stories, some laughs, some inspiration, some speaker tips, and some unexpected truth. It's the Love Speaks series, where a little bit of love goes a long way.
Welcome to the Love Speaks series. Here's your host, Sally Lou Loveman.
Okay, I don't think I could be more excited. I'm trying to hold back. I'm trying to be so cool right now. Like, I'm just like hanging out here, being cool. This is number 18 of the Love Speaks series. 18 I chose to do because 18 is life and 18 is my favorite number. And on the 18th podcast, someone I have been dying to have here. I am so girl crushing right now. It's ridiculous. She is my superhero comedy teacher, Alex Kumin. Yes. So we're speaking stand-up comedy today, something that people are terrified to do. But she does it so well. She is really, truly one of the coolest women I've ever met. She is a sought-after comic here in Chicago who uses her comedy to empower women. So you had me with that right there. I know this obviously to be true because she was my teacher, my first stand-up teacher, my one and only. When women use our voices, we are powerful. But when we use our voices in comedy, we are fucking powerful. So I just have to say that I am grateful that she is here. I am excited. I would take your class, Alex, over and over again, but then I'd be a stalker. So please help me welcome the fabulous and hilarious stand-up comedian, Alex Kumin. I am so excited for you to be here.
I'm so excited to be here.
So round of applause.
Yes, I'll take it. Welcome to the stage.
Yay.
I love it.
I mean, honestly, stand-up comedy is terrifying to people.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And what is that? Is that fear what kind of drives you to do it?
Totally. Well, maybe not. For sure. I'm 100% fear-based. That's how I live my life. It's just in fear. I think fear is often a good marker of like kind of stuff we need to look at.
Yes.
And the fear of, I think for a lot of women, there's a big fear of stand-up comedy. I'm teaching a class right now where last night a couple of the women were like, this is really scary.
Right. It's terrifying.
It's really scary. I think specifically for women who have kind of been told for their whole life kind of
don't speak.
Don't speak.
Yeah.
Just be seen, not heard.
Yeah.
Don't rock the boat.
Right.
That stand up and getting on stage and sharing who you are and being vulnerable and just the act of being alone on a stage and a whole room of people is looking at you is not what we have been taught to do.
Right.
And so I think it's a pretty scary thing, but once you learn to kind of live, I don't know that the fear necessarily like goes away, but you kind of learn to live around it and diminish it a little bit.
Yes. I took a class with Alex. I didn't know who would be my teacher. I just got lucky to get you with Fem Com, which is it's for women, taught by women.
Yep. So
tell us a little bit more.
So it's a class that was started in 2008 through the Lincoln Lodge, which is
where you are a performer and
a cast member. The Lincoln Lodge is the nation's longest running independent stand-up comedy showcase. We just opened a new theater in Logan Square. Fem Com was started in 2008 as a response to the kind of lack of female presence in the scene, on shows, at open mics, things like that. Cameron Esposito started it. And since then, it has been taught by a number of women, and we welcome female and female-identifying and gender nonconforming performers to take it's a 5-week fundamentals class
Right.
in stand-up comedy.
And so 5 weeks is literally nothing. Okay?
Nothing. It's nothing.
It is a period of time that goes by in a blink.
Mm-hmm.
So my story is I have always said, maybe 10 years. Oh, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I've always been on a stage as the audience producer for the Oprah Winfrey Show. I always thought I was funny. I did funny. I could improv funny, but I've never done a set, right? And then I said to my family, "Oh, but I don't have enough pain." And then like a month later, I just opened the door and pain came in, and then I was like, "Well, maybe I will do some stand-up comedy."
Yeah.
So anyway, I was talking a lot about it in the last year, and all of a sudden I saw on Instagram, because I enabled my microphone, a workshop, but not Fem Com. And I went, oh my God, a woman workshopping comedy, I'm going.
Yeah.
And that to me was brave. I went alone.
Totally.
And then I get there and I'm the only old person in the room, but we're in like a dark theater and the stage was high and there was a panel of comics, women comics. And then the lights came up and this woman walks up to me, tall woman, my age.
Love.
And she's like,
Yes.
hi.
Yes.
I'm Maureen.
Yes.
And I'm like, hi,
Love
I'm
Maureen.
So Maureen Tatosian, who is a graduate of many of your levels there
she's
and
great.
performing, she basically said, well, if you want to do this, you got to go take the Fem Com workshop. I said, what is that?
Yeah.
And so she really was the gift that just said, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And what was cool is she said at the end, you get to perform. And I said, that's all I want. I want to perform in front of an audience. I'm an audience producer. I want to perform in front of an audience that is like produced, our friends and family. I don't want to be in a drunk bar with like screaming weird people.
Right. And I think that's the cool thing about the class. A lot of people come to the class. A lot of women come to the class saying, I've tried stand-up before. I've gone to an open mic. It was awful.
Yes.
It was bad.
I've been to open mics.
It was like a room full of men. It was in this weird bar basement, whatever it is.
Right.
The first experience is so negative that they don't try it again.
Right.
And so Fem Com is this really like creates such a fun environment where,
it's so fun. And there's so much I want to talk about. But one of the things that I didn't know I was going to get, which I write about in my book, so I should have known, is the community. Oh my God, I have comedy friends now. So it's not just about doing what you love and what your goal is it's the community that you get from the experience. And you create that so beautifully.
Oh, thank you so much. That makes me very happy to hear. I do. It's a really cool, I think, especially like for people that want to do comedy afterwards, it can still be, after the class, it can still be kind of intimidating to be like, all right, now time to go to open mics. And it's like, okay, after these 5-6 weeks with these other women, it's so much easier to just,
because you got a buddy.
Yeah, come with me to this, meet me here, accountability.
Accountability, right. So they say that you should have an accountability partner if you want to do comedy. Do you still have one?
I have... Not necessarily. Like when I first started, I definitely did.
Right.
I actually took the co-ed version of the class of what's called Stand-Up Seminary. I had some classmates, and I'm like, I wish I took Fem Com.
I know.
I had some classmates that for the first like 6 months, I was like, all right, here we go. Let's meet here.
Right.
And so, but then once I started kind of being able to do my own thing, and it's less so now having an accountability partner, but I still definitely have like writing groups, write shares with friends and things like that. Yeah.
Right.
It kind of doesn't end.
I will tell you this. The fear I felt standing on a stage for the first time doing comedy, I can't even describe it. I was terrified.
It's a crazy whole body fear.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
There's no way around it but get through it, and you just do it. And I like when I speak and I teach people how to speak without fear, so for me to finally feel what that fear felt like was really great gift for me, because now I have empathy. Now I get it.
Totally. Makes you a better teacher.
Makes me a better teacher. But when I speak, yes, I have a script, but I don't go by the script. And if I forget something, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows. But if you forget something in your comedy set, and you go to something later that's hinging on that joke, I know there must be a word for it.
Callback.
Callback. Thank you. You taught me that. If you forget and then you have a callback and it's not funny, and then it's just like, and you realize as you're saying it, oh, I never said.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get around that? That's what
Yeah.
scares me.
You kind of learn as you go, like, it's the practice is really what like
Key.
pushes everything in.
Yes.
And that's the going to open mics or in our class just week after week, getting
Right.
up, doing it, practicing
Right.
it, spending time
Edit,
each
edit,
day, edit,
Right.
get back up. But you get to a point eventually where like you're able to just kind of move around that. It's the way I used to think of it, like sometimes you have to think almost with like two brains while you're up there, like the brain that's speaking and then the brain that's like, okay, they liked that joke. I'm gonna tell this one next, or they didn't like that. I'm gonna have to change tack, or I just forgot that line. How am I gonna scramble out of it?
Yes.
So you end up kind of it takes
conversation.
full presence and full just like engagement
and authenticity because
fully. Yes.
I teach that in speaking. Like if you lose your way, if you lose your track, you use the audience. You've got to be authentic with that.
Yeah.
You have to have used the audience from the top of what you're talking about, because then it's going to be strange. And you have to process, where am I going while you're having an authentic conversation.
Right.
So I guess it's kind of the same thing.
It's very similar. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just feels so much more scary to me for some reason.
It's a different, I mean, some would look at what you're doing and say that same thing.
Right.
And you've been doing it for enough years that it's like, because I remember that fear when I started, that fear of like every time I would go to an open mic of just like in the first like 4 months, just all day thinking about it, like, oh, okay, like I got to get there and I'm going to have to get on stage and I'm going to remember I'm not going to, what if I forget and what if I blank?
Yeah.
Stand-up is all about process and practice.
Okay, so that's the
Fully.
point. You, like anything, yoga, meditation, speaking, golf, it is a practice. And that is what stand-up comedy is. And you think, oh, I couldn't do stand-up because I'm not funny. Well, guess what? If you take Fem Com class, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might be funnier than others.
Totally.
But the process, and when I say 5 weeks goes by fast, you're not sitting there, like we don't write a joke and then you say, well, here's how you write it. You don't ever necessarily tell us how to do it, but you show us, and your feedback every time, like talk about a joke tree. What is the joke tree?
Yeah, so we do the whole class is just based on like step-by-step process. So the joke tree is like, once we have a bunch of topics to choose from, the joke tree is this amazing thing that I still use when I'm writing a new joke, where you just put an idea on the page and then you kind of free associate and just any words or emotions
and an idea
or
could
ideas.
Be like healthcare.
Healthcare.
It could be marriage.
Literally
it could be
anything.
Yeah.
And you just fill the page with, like, you just kind of write line, like marriage, relationship, ice cream, whatever the thing is.
Right.
And you might end up going down this path that you're, oh, I forgot about that story. Or, and then maybe you find a nugget in there that you're like, oh, I'm not going to talk about marriage at all. I'm going to talk about my first relationship, whatever it is. So it's a really good way to just get ideas on the page for you to then kind of sift out.
And one of the coolest things you did early on in the 5 weeks, probably week 2, you told us to have a conversation with the person next to us about our day. And we had a minute. So we did that. And then you said, okay, have a conversation about the first hour of your day. And then all of a sudden it kind of became funny. Like, because you had to go and really look at the details. So what's the deal with details?
Yeah, so details are like really what drive comedy. You can talk about things in very broad terms, but until you throw details in and really paint that picture so that the audience can come with you and kind of experience it with you, like that's really where we get driven. It's also, like with that activity where it's like, talk about your whole day. Okay, I woke up, I went to work, I had lunch, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. That's just scratching the surface versus first hour of your day. Okay, my alarm goes off and I throw it across the room, right? Like that's telling us something about you.
And that everyone can relate to.
Everyone can relate to. Right. And that's where you really start to get to like dig into all that.
The details. That's the coolest part.
Yes.
You helped us with that so much. And I could give you examples if I could remember, but one little example, I remember when I went up the first time, and I've done it twice, and the first time, and I'm talking about midlife. And I said, I wet my pants in Walgreens. And then I was like, yep, right there on the corner of Happy and Healthy. And you were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you laughed. It was something new that I threw in that I just sort of came to me that everyone can relate to. And like in that moment, I was like, I'm really learning. I'm really learning.
Well, and you also could have said, I went to a drugstore and wet my pants. But then without Walgreens, Happy and Healthy doesn't work.
Right.
So again, it's the details of like, what's the store? What's their logo? Like, what's their slogan?
What's their slogan? Right.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So you begin this 5-week course. The first day, first session, we're getting to know each other. The second session, you bring in the conversation and the joke trees.
Yep.
And then we start writing. And then in the writing, you become like, you understand what words are necessary and what words can go bye-bye. What's that all about?
Yeah, so word economy is the concept behind that. So word economy is this idea that you are telling a joke in the fewest amount of words possible while still maintaining the essence of that joke.
Yes.
So if you watch like late night Conan sets, any of those like 5-minute sets that comedians are doing, there's not a word in there that doesn't belong in there.
Right.
And it's because they've spent years just like kind of pressing this thing, like squeezing every little bit out of it that doesn't have to be there, because like comedy is all about like timing, pacing, delivery, all that stuff. And if you're taking, and it's also about the creation and release of tension. And so if you're explaining this joke, and then the punchline isn't that funny or doesn't support the 3 or 4 lines of explanation, it just kind of fizzles.
It fizzles.
Versus if you can just get to it fast, like keep it punchy, keep the energy up.
Can I do something? Can we do something right now?
Yeah.
Because I'm working on something.
Yeah.
And I know it can be funny, but I'm not really sure how to make it funny. I am really sick of seeing the Amazon coat. Do you know what the Amazon coat is? Let me help you. Okay. The Amazon coat is a coat that's $118 on Amazon, and it's got all the zippers, and it comes in every color.
Yes.
Even yellow.
Yes.
Okay. And everyone and their mother and their grandmother has it on, especially in Chicago.
The Orale coat.
Yes, the Orale coat. It's cute. It is fashionable until everyone ruined it because everyone's wearing
Everyone has it.
But here's what I think is funny. Okay, fine. I'm sick of seeing it. But what's funny is that it no one's fluffing it. It's like I want them to just go and fluff it because it looks like everyone's wearing it flat right out of their Amazon Prime box. So I'm trying to make that funny. And I'm like, what? I don't want to hurt people's feelings if they have the Amazon coat. But you know what? Comedy sometimes does. But
right.
I sometimes count how many I see in a day.
That, I think like that, like basing it on like, this is how many I see a day. I think the thing to focus on is it's not that you don't like the coat.
I like
it's
the
cute.
coat.
It's a cute coat, but it's you got to zhuzh it. You got to zhuzh it. And you got to like.
If you want to stand out among the Amazon army, okay, I'm now making this up, okay? Zhuzh your coat.
Zhuzh your coat. Boom.
Okay.
That's
that's
it.
Funny? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
See, it's all in the details. And then everyone knows what it's like when you pull something out of a flat box.
And it's just like vacuum packed.
Right.
Yeah.
And it needs zhuzhing.
It just, you need to give it a little.
What is really, thank you. What is really, I'll try it out in 2 nights from now. What is really cool is to see the process. Like you said, it's practice. That in week 1 and then to week 5, suddenly you've got 10 or 12 or 8 or 12 women doing their stand-up, and you think they're professional. Like listen, I'm an audience. I think everyone's funny. I'm like, every single woman that got up there killed it and was really funny and had their tight 5, in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's really, I think because there are other comedy classes around town that are like 8 weeks long, 3-hour sessions. That's like, sure, I bet that works well. But 5 weeks, 2 hours at a time is really all you need.
It's crazy.
It's really all you need. And it's really, I think, especially again for Fem Com, specifically for female identifying performers,
yes,
we just got to get out of our own way. You know,
Totally.
I think a lot of like, it's just like, I can't do this. This is too scary. This is what do I have to say that's important?
Right.
One of my favorite parts of doing the grad shows is that how many people come up to me and are like, I can't believe that was everyone's first time.
Right.
Because that was amazing. And it's like, I love that. That is awesome.
That's your purpose. That is your purpose.
And it's,
Well, for me, I'm not doing stand-up to be a stand-up comedian professionally, obviously. I'm doing stand-up to be brave and to remind myself that to be brave in the things that I already do well, which is speaking and writing. And for me, knowing that I've done that and can do it again, to me, that just is fuel to my fire.
It's just knowing that you're capable. It's like I box and I'm like, just knowing that I can throw a punch makes me walk a little differently.
Exactly.
It's like, you're like,
now
I've
you had
done
to go
that.
and make yourself cooler. I didn't know you were a boxer. Now I might not. Oh, God. Now I'm not. Oh, my God. The cool factor has risen. I think stand-up does make a person cooler because like when I worked at the Oprah Winfrey Show, that made people want to talk to me. Like, of course, people want to talk to me anyway, I think. But people are like, oh, you work for Oprah. How interesting.
Yeah.
You know, if it was my two sisters and I, like everyone's like, who's the sister that worked for Oprah?
Right.
That's who they want to talk to.
Right.
And now I feel that with stand-up comedy. Like, if I say I told this group of women at Evolve Her, then I'm doing stand-up next week. They're like, what? Everyone leans in. They're like, okay, you just got cooler. Like, you're interesting.
It's a brave act. Just as we were saying before, just getting on stage alone with a microphone and a spotlight is vulnerable and it's brave and it's cool when you can do it well, when you've learned the mechanics of joke writing and you have your stage presence and you can do it. It really is like creates this kind of magic in a room,
it's
you
so
know?
magical.
It's just really like it's such an incredible experience. And it's also like, you know, it's a cool thing to be pursuing. You know, it's not, I didn't grow up being told like, hey, a career in comedy is financially lucrative and something you should pursue.
So the thing a parent would tell a child.
Yeah, it's like, absolutely not. No, you're not going to be a clown. But it's a cool, it's just different.
When did you first know you were funny?
I think like growing up, I was always kind of a goof. My first like moment that I like joke moment, I think I was like 8 and I was at the dinner table and we had my family had some friends over and I took like a big bite of spaghetti. Someone asked me a question and I looked up and I had like spaghetti hanging out of my mouth and I answered them and everybody laughed and I was like, I like that. And then a few minutes later I was like, okay, that worked before. Let me try it again.
Right.
Put a big bite in my mouth, started talking and everyone was like, you're being
Done.
rude. Shut up.
Done.
That for me was like, oh, there's mechanics behind this.
Yes.
Like, I loved making people laugh before. I loved that feeling, but like, you can't force it.
Right.
Like, there's something, and so
There's
I think
timing.
I started like kind of just tinkering about like, okay, so what is the formula then? Like, what does like what? Okay, so you can't force it. You got to be authentic. You gotta. It's timing. It's delivery. So I think that kind of, and then
at 8 years old, you were your mind was already at work like that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I think your physical timing on the stage is so great. The way you move your body, your hands. I love the way you move your hands. And of course, your reactions and the pausing.
Yeah.
Talk about the pausing.
Oh, yeah. So silence is just like so important in comedy.
Yes.
And I think as a new comedian and for the folks that come through the class, like that's a terrifying concept is to just be on stage, not saying anything while the audience is maybe not, it's just a scary thing. But again, it's creation and release of tension and that silence is able to build tension and you need that silence to kind of.
But silence also with a look, maybe. Like I'm thinking Seth Meyers. Like I'm thinking like when he.
It's like an eyebrow raise or like a head tilt or something.
A head tilt.
Can really just like kind of drive. Yeah, Tig Notaro is one of my favorite comics and she is like queen master of
She is.
of silence. Yeah.
I've watched a lot of her
Yeah.
because she was part of our homework, and I
Yeah.
love her.
Yeah.
I also love Wanda Sykes. I think she is,
God.
and John
Talk
Mulaney.
about physical,
I could die.
yeah.
Yes.
So
I mean,
funny.
when she talks about Trump.
Oh,
I
the toilet
died.
paper?
No, I don't know that one. Tell us that one. It was like
It's so funny. The premise of her joke is like, something like Trump was seen like with toilet paper on the bottom of his shoe walking into Air Force
No one
One.
told
and
him.
no one told him. She's like, I've run across an airport for a stranger to grab it up. She does this like incredible act out. It's so funny. It's in her latest special. It's so good.
Oh yeah, she's there's something about getting screwed twice. I can't remember
Yeah.
the joke, but it's so funny. It's not even.
so
I mean,
fantastic.
she's hilarious.
Yeah.
Who are your comedian heroes growing up? mean-
growing up, like, boy, I did watch like a lot of SNL growing up, and
Yeah.
I really loved like Molly Shannon, Sherry
Yes.
O'Terry, Amy Poehler, Tina
Well,
Fey.
Molly is so physical.
And it just was like, it was really cool to just see a woman be goofy
Yes.
and like use her body and
Yes.
in like not a sexual way, because I think
Right.
that's just
Exactly.
kind of what we are taught in everything.
Right, everything.
So it was really cool to just see like just goof.
Right.
And then as I've gotten older, Tig Notaro is one of my absolute favorites. I really love Rory Scovel. He's a really great comic.
Well, I love Meat Brick because you had
Yes,
her. You had her at one of our shows, Molly.
Oh, Molly, she's so funny.
Oh my God, is
Molly's
she
the
funny.
best.
I follow her on Instagram and I love her.
She's the best.
She's so cute. So when did you decide you were a sexual violence prevention counselor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were using comedy even then
Yeah.
through your work to empower women.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then when you decided to make this like a go.
Totally. Yeah. So I was doing that work for about 7 years, going into schools and doing presentations on sexual violence prevention and all that. And I really loved that work and was going to pursue a master's in public health and, kind of stay in the nonprofit field. And then I started doing comedy, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I kind of like how, I would incorporate it into presentations, not in any sort of like making fun of any victims
Right,
of
of
sexual
course.
violence, but being able to talk about stuff in a funny way, being able to talk about the systems that make sexual harassment possible.
Right.
Joking it. I think that's the thing with kind of like heavier topics, is really poking fun at the systems that allow for stuff like that to
Correct,
occur.
right.
And so, I had been doing, I'd done I've been doing improv for a couple of years, and then I tried stand-up. And the night of my graduation show, I was like, this
was the seminary.
Seminary,
Okay.
yeah. So that was, that night, like the feeling of like the grad show, just like, you're just like,
there's
oh my
nothing
God.
better.
And I was like, I've never felt anything like this. I'm gonna do comedy
And
from now on.
did you quit your job? Like
So that was no. So I'd been working probably at my job for 4 or 5 years at that point, and then I stayed there for another 2 years. But over those 2 years, I just started to phase out. I was like went from full time to part time, and then to really part time,
Right.
and then phased out.
Right.
Yeah.
So then now what does that look like? Now you're just showing
Yeah.
up? I mean, you weren't being paid yet, were you?
I was
Or-
not being paid yet.
Right.
And so, I would not recommend anyone quit there. Don't quit your day job.
Don't quit your day
Stand-up does not provide.
No.
Especially
Nothing.
for the first while.
You can sleep in the morning. That's
You can sleep
about
in,
it.
and that's, you're very rich in time, is what I always say.
That's funny.
Through teaching, stand-up shows, a little bit of acting, voiceover work, I am just cobbling together a getting by,
Right.
and
Right.
that is, that's a choice, and that's a thing that you kind of have to accept when you start to, if you are deciding to pursue a career in stand-up. It's like, it is not a financially stable thing for a
Right.
very long time. You
Right.
do have to have a job.
Right.
There's no guarantees. It's
Right.
not like, hey, if you just do this for 10 years, here's your payout. It's like,
Yeah, you see that in the people that have made it, but then there are all
It's
those
a
people,
lot of people
who have
who
done
don't.
the 10 years
Yeah.
who haven't made it. And I find it so interesting when I did do the few open mics, and I'm going to come back to it in the spring because I did your 2 classes, then I launched a book, and I'm like, I don't have time. So I can't wait. I really want to do the one at Joke Like a Girl. That's what I really want to do.
Yes, that's a really great one. Yeah.
But when I've been to the other open mics, there's like, 90% men, 10% women.
Yes.
And having been spoiled by the fact that I was in a class with women only, taught by a woman, and we're all laughing at these jokes. And when I went out to do these open mics and the audience was men, it felt very different for me.
Yeah.
And I also didn't think they were very funny. I just have to say.
Yeah.
So
and it's, and that's.
Is that hard for you?
That it is really hard for me. That was when I first started. And one of the things I always make sure I cover when we're in class is like, I think that the first 4 to 6 months of stand-up is some of the hardest because you haven't quite figured it out yet. You're kind of have little Bambi legs. You're like,
Totally.
I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, or maybe haven't quite gotten joke writing down yet, but you're practicing and you're trying and you're putting the work in, but you're also telling jokes in front of a very homogenous group that may not be reflective of your experience or who you are.
Right.
And comedy is still very much like straight white dudes or
Big
just
time.
mostly male. And if you are not part of that group, whether it be female or gender nonconforming or different race or a sexual orientation, any of that, it can be tough because you're getting up and you're telling these jokes and you're like, is it not funny because it's not funny? Or do you just not understand my experience?
Right.
And this is not landing because you don't know what.
Because you're not my audience.
You're not my audience, or you don't know what a period is, or you're embarrassed that I'm talking about, stuff like that.
Right.
That's I'm not saying that the only thing that women talk about is periods, but I'm also sick of people being like, they shouldn't. It's no, we're 50% of the population and this happens to us every month. So we're going to talk about it.
Right. You have dicks, we have vaginas.
Let's get over it. And so especially at those beginning stages, I think those rooms, all female spaces or just spaces that really are intentional about. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm ever going to break out of that. I think I'm
That's
going
okay.
to always stay in the safe space.
That's okay.
Leah Berman's
Logan Mike is wonderful.
Is co-ed. I'm fine with that because I like the way she runs it. I would like to try Joke Like a Girl, and I'll probably try to take your class again.
Yeah.
Do you have level 3? I'm
No
so
level
level 1
3s.
still, so it doesn't matter.
No level 3. Level 3, go to open mics.
What I know, I hate that. I don't want to. I'm an audience producer, and I want to produce the audience, which your class allows us to do that. What I thought was so cool about level 2 is that then you incorporated everyone in the room as teachers.
Yeah.
And everyone gave feedback. And that I thought was really cool.
Yeah, because you, as you start to do this more, you also start to develop an ear for editing. I'm not saying edit other people's stand up, but when we're in class, it helps everybody to start to listen and go, okay, well, why didn't that joke land? Is it because you did 2 things instead of 3, and the rule of 3 is the better way to do it? Or what if we flipped this? Would that sound different if we just flipped these words?
Yeah.
The editing really helps you to hone your see, just since teaching the class, I've become a better comic because I know mechanics a little bit better. And
right. And you've seen so many people. I mean, the minute you are, first of all, you're in your purpose. So I always say when you're in your purpose, the fear has no access because you are doing what you are here to do. Your purpose, your spaghetti face purpose that you found at 8 years old, and you are still doing it. And so the more you do it, the better you get at it, like anything. But also this is what fuels you, what gives you passion. So cool. The first time it was 2013, maybe it was 2014, but in 2013 I had really big crash of my marriage. We're still married. We're working through it every day. But that was when I said, oh, but I don't have enough pain. Right. So we were on our way to Cleveland, which I just think is funny, family there. And I, for some reason, got in the back seat at one point of the drive. One of the kids sat in the front seat. My husband was driving, and I wrote my first stand-up set in the backseat of our car on our way to Cleveland
Love
and
it.
in my phone.
Yeah.
And this is 2014. So this is pre-Maisel.
Yeah.
And when The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel came out, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because I wrote it, and that set healed me. It literally, I've never performed it. I want to perform it. I almost performed it, but then realized, you're going to videotape it. I'm not ready.
Right,
Not ready.
right.
The wound hasn't totally healed yet. Needs to scab up a bit before I can do it.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm sharing this is because just the simple act of writing it has given it a place to live, and it has absolutely helped me in my healing.
It's really, I always say, like, comedy is not therapy, but it is.
It is to me.
It is therapeutic.
Oh yeah.
I think, and to your point of like, Brené Brown said,
my hero.
She's absolutely incredible. She has this great quote that I read in class a lot of, like, I'm going to misquote it here maybe, but it's
we're wired for story.
Our stories have to be essentially
it's in the struggle.
In the struggle, but essentially what she's saying is, before you share a story, you have to be okay with sharing it.
Oh, got it.
And
yes,
the audience's reaction can't be if that's not
you've
got to be ready to be sharing your story.
Yes.
Your story is a gift.
Yes.
You need to be in a place to give it as a gift.
Yes. Sometimes it is only for people who've earned the right to hear it.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's for a crowd of strangers.
Exactly.
It depends.
And it's just the act of writing stuff, even just writing stuff down. Like, I'll do morning pages. I just write in the morning, just getting it on paper.
Yeah.
So you're just not the only person thinking about it. It's not it's not kicking around in your head.
Right.
But also, as you start to develop it and you're able to get it on stage and tell those stories and tell those really personal pieces. Yeah. And have an audience laugh with you, and
instead of being like,
instead of like, oh, oh God, that's a kiss of death.
That is the kiss of death.
It really helps heal whatever, because you're just like, you're laughing because you connect, because you've been there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what your writing is ever for.
No.
You don't know. You don't know where it's going to go.
And it's just got to start from a place where it's for you.
Where it's for you.
Yeah.
And you start with yourself. It could end up just being a letter that you keep in your drawer. It could be a blog you write. It could be a comedy set. It could be a book. It doesn't matter where it goes.
Exactly.
It matters that you've written it and you've allowed yourself to express who you are, your own story. It's yours to tell. It is your gift. And make it have purpose, make if you can make someone laugh. Like, I know my husband and I, we have laughed our whole way through our marriage, and in good times and bad. And if you can laugh, then you are healing.
Totally, because you're not in a place of fear when you're laughing.
Totally.
I love that. Stephen Colbert said that, of just like, it's you're thinking, you're active, you're not paralyzed by fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fear is a kiss of all things bad. Okay, so you write, so you coached us, taught us to keep a little notebook or in your phone of content. And so I'm always, content. And now my family's like, oh God, there goes mom again with her content. Content. What content did you write down recently that you're working on?
I do a lot of stuff on healthcare and stuff, but I was just thinking about the difference between physical exams for men and women, and just like for men, when you get like it's just like an inconvenient meeting between coworkers in a hallway. Just like, hey, I just gotta grab. Can I just shuffle these around first? Okay, cool. See, be on your way. And then for women,
that
it's
was
like
the ball tap.
Yeah, the ball tap. And then for women, it's just like it's like a tray of utensils and just like so aggressive. It's like fireplace accessories, like just like a poker and like a gah. It's so
clipping,
violent.
Snipping.
Yeah, just like so violent. And it's just like, yeah, well, maybe that's why we can't come. Like,
right. Plus, it's all the whole thing of getting on the scale. Women don't go to doctors just because they don't want to get on the scale.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think men think like that.
No.
It's so funny.
No.
It's so true. Listen, I just had one day, I was like, this is funny. I had a day where I went to my, dermatologist. And I was like, what is this on my foot? He took it off. Okay, removal. Then I go to my gynecologist for my annual. She's like, what's this little speck of a something? Oh, biopsy. Took that off. Then I had a root canal scheduled. I knew about
my
that.
God.
But I had all 3 removals of my root, my vagina,
Your root chakra.
root chakra.
Yeah.
And
your
all my
root,
roots.
and
my
every
feet.
root.
And my
You've
feet.
been
All
just
my roots.
rooted.
See, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
It was all roots.
All root.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I'm
Write
going
it
to work
down.
on that.
Write it
down.
down.
Who
Content.
makes you laugh? Content. Who makes you laugh?
Oh God, I'm being a comedian, I'm just so lucky to be around comics all day. So I have very funny friends, and then my boyfriend, who's also a stand-up.
Right.
We laugh just all the time.
And so how did you meet? On the stand-up?
Through stand-up. Yeah, we met through stand-up. We were doing
stand-up route.
lots and lots of shows, and just kind of started to see each other around a lot more.
That's so cool. And do you guys help each other with your jokes?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll like the one that I just told you about.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of some different, angles from it last week. So we just kind of sat and workshopped it for a few minutes. And
So you workshop at home.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah. It's
so cool.
very convenient.
Where do you want to see your comedy go? What are your dreams besides a Netflix special, which I swear you'll have?
Yeah, Netflix special. I'd love an HBO hour.
Okay. Good.
I maybe I don't know that I would want to work in late night, but I would love to have a job as a late night writer to kind of see if is this something, I know that I want to be performing and writing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just be,
Right,
I think a lot
writer.
of comedians go just down the writing route, which is great. And if that's what you want to do, but I love the performance aspect of it too. And with voiceover stuff, I really love. So I'd love
you've
to
got a
do-
great voice.
Thank you.
Really great voice.
I'd love to do voice like a Pixar, be a voice in a Pixar thing at some point.
Yes. So you have an agent, obviously.
Yep, agent, manager. Yep.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think the writing on Seth Meyers, I keep talking about Seth Meyers.
Yeah,
And have you ever seen his bit on the lobby baby when his wife had a baby in the lobby?
Yeah. So good. It's so
so
good. His special, I really liked
funny.
his special.
Yes,
Yeah, Netflix,
yes.
that was so good.
And John Mulaney's
God.
recent monologue on Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live, just I have nothing to promote. I'm just here.
Yeah.
And then it was the Make-A-Wish girl was really
He's,
wanted to see
so funny.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
And then he got her to see him.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait, that was actually my first choice. It's okay, great. Wonderful. He's so funny.
Genius. Full genius. Yeah.
We went to see him at Radio City, and my husband lost his reading glasses during this time. This is not funny, but it's funny to us.
Yeah.
And so every time my husband always loses his reading glasses, and he's like, God damn it, where are my reading glasses? And so every time we have seen John Mulaney perform since then, he's like, he's coming out with my reading glasses. Oh, he's not wearing them today.
He's got them.
We were in the last row at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh God, yeah.
But John
Barely.
Mulaney has my husband's glasses.
I love that. And it's also you're in the room, you're here feeling the vibe, you're feeling the energy. I love that. Oh my God.
But who in your life makes you laugh? Do you've a brother, right? Doesn't
Two
your brother?
brothers.
Two brothers.
Two brothers. I've come from a very funny family too.
Okay,
we
so are your parents
laughed.
funny?
My parents are super funny. We also use laughter to get through a lot of stuff. I had cancer when I was 21,
Right.
and it was thyroid cancer.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
It was, and I'm okay now.
Right.
I'm all good. But the day I was diagnosed, I remember just sitting with my mom, just kind of crying and just really just shocked and not sure how to deal with it.
Right.
And she was like, well, the good news is after the surgery, you're going to be the best Pez dispenser on campus. I was like, oh, yes. And we just sat there and laughed and cried. And it's
such a gift.
It really is just that moment is so, I think about that moment a lot in terms of what laughter can do.
Yes.
And just how it really can take you out of a place of fear. And it can
Totally.
minimize these monstrous things that happen in life. Shit happens in life. It's messy and it can be scary.
Right.
And
if we can laugh through it, we're going to get there faster. And I believe the same for story.
Yeah.
And basically comedy is
Totally,
story.
totally.
So it's the same.
Yeah.
Wow. I had half my thyroid removed too. So
Yeah.
I got
So you get,
I got the thing. But
the old,
I was not cancerous. Did you have to take that medicine that makes you that I don't know. There's some
I
weird
took-
like
Yeah.
medicine that is
The iodine, the
Yes,
radiation.
iodine, the radiation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did radiation twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Very scary. But you're
I'm
healthy.
fine,
and
but
you're
I'm
well.
good now.
Yay.
I'm good now, 7 years
And
old.
have you ever used it as content?
Yeah. I started stand-up. So I got it when I was 21, and then it came back when I was 26.
Oh.
And that's when I was 26 is when I started stand-up.
Okay.
Spring of that year.
That makes
And then-
sense.
Yeah. And then
Did you have to have 2 surgeries?
one surgery, but radiation twice.
Got it.
So that was the only thing that was happening in my life. And I
Right.
was like, okay, well, I guess I'll talk about cancer as my
Right.
first.
Right. Right.
Which, like, as a new comedian, like, maybe don't have quite the finesse of talking about something that big. But it, and that I always say also in class, like, you write what you know and
write what you know.
write what you want to write.
Right.
Don't write what you think you should write or what people are telling you.
Right.
Write what is
Right.
what's happening to you right now.
Well, that's what I found.
Yeah.
Like everybody had their thing
Mhm.
in the class. That my focus was marriage. Maggie's
Right.
was her health because she's been
Right.
through so much
Right.
health, and Maureen is just freaking
Just so
hilarious and
funny.
just
Yeah.
has the dry wit
Yeah.
of everything she sees.
Totally. TMI.
She's TMI. She's someone. She came to a book event of mine, and someone said, "Well, so why are you doing comedy?" She goes, "Because I like attention." And so it's like okay, I love it.
She's so
I like
perfect.
attention.
I love it.
Yeah, she's
love
so
that.
funny. So thank you for all the new friends I have.
I'm
Thank you so much
happy.
for that.
I love that you're doing this show. I'm so that's great. Just keep making yes.
Yeah, so we're gonna try. We're gonna try to have more of that. You know what? My whole life is about being. My whole life is about getting an audience.
Yeah.
For Oprah, for every show I've
Yeah.
ever worked on since, now for comedy shows, for my own
amazing.
platform. And so we're going to hope that some people come out, because I think that if someone is willing to go out and do something brave, we should have an audience to watch
Totally.
it, right?
Totally.
So-
I totally agree.
How do you feel? Do you like hosting events or
I do. I love hosting.
or doing your set?
I love
both.
both. Hosting is fun because you get to be the captain of the ship. And you
Yes.
get to, you're the first person they see. And it's hard. Hosting
You
is
have
hard.
to listen.
You have to listen. You have to be present. You have
Yes.
to, my personal thing about hosting is that you should always talk to the audience first and get to know them.
That
And
is
that's
what I
your
say in the
thing.
speaking.
Yeah. It's, you
Okay, I'm
gotta,
learning.
you can't just go and
Right.
talk at people. You
Right.
have to,
With people.
and acknowledge,
to know
hey,
your
I'm
audience.
going to acknowledge that I'm standing in front of you and I'm going to try and make you laugh, but
Right.
I got to get to know you guys a little, and you
Right.
got to get to know me, and we got to kind of build this trust relationship
Totally.
before I can
The
kind of
better the
go
audience,
off.
the better the speaker, the better the audience, the better the comic, the better the audience, the better
Absolutely.
the host.
The audience, it's a two-way street.
Totally.
Also, like
Totally.
I was just at a show a few weeks ago where the audience wasn't giving anything, and it's like, okay, like I'm not gonna phone this in, but like
Right.
if you're not giving me anything, like
Right.
I'm not gonna exert
Right.
everything. Like versus an audience that is just there bringing the
Right.
energy.
There's
It's like,
nothing,
all right,
there's nothing better than an energy that you get from an audience.
mhm.
You have, it's like your feet aren't even touching the ground.
Yeah.
You just feel it. And you feel it when they're not there.
Yes,
But you, as the host or the speaker or the
Mm-hmm.
comic, well, the comics don't really have that opportunity, but you need to get that out of the audience
Yes.
by connecting with
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And the minute you make your audience your friend, then
Yeah.
they want you to succeed.
Yeah.
They want you to succeed no matter what.
and
but
your friend and telling them, reassuring them that they made the right choice. You know,
Yes.
there's like,
you're here
we're in
tonight.
Chicago. Like, there's
Yeah.
1,000 things to do every night. You
Yeah.
guys made a choice to be here, to be here, to
Right.
pay a babysitter, whatever the thing was.
Right.
You made the right choice by
You made the right
coming
choice.
here.
I love
you
that.
know?
I'm going to say that.
Please
at
do.
Marcus.
Please do.
You made the right choice.
Yeah.
I think like you have your stuff that you always, you have your go-to jokes.
Mhm.
Suddenly I have a few of my go-to jokes.
Yeah.
And so like going into this event hosting, I know them, but if they don't work coming off of a comic, they don't work. So
Right.
you really have to listen
Yeah.
to what the comic is talking about. You don't always know what the comics are going to do, right?
Right. And it's fun too, like taking a little pressure off yourself, like listening to the comics, like what's the last joke they talked about? And
Yeah.
do you have anything that you can just kind of
Right.
add
Riff
on
off
top
of.
of that, riff
Right.
on top of? It doesn't have to be a whole 2-minute setup punchline. Like it
Right.
can just be as simple as like, you went to Trader Joe's today. oh man, last time I was there, boom, boom, boom. You ready
Right.
for your next like
Right.
whatever the thing is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I'm going to channel you
Yeah.
in 2 nights from
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
feel
You'll be great.
like I am. Listen, I love emceeing events because you are the captain
Mm-hmm.
and you get to get the energy of the room
Mhm.
and make the performers, whoever it may be, feel that. And
Totally.
that's what I did for the Oprah Winfrey Show. I mean,
Totally.
people were coming in hot anyway, but they
Yeah.
were to see Oprah. But what I love to do is connect them to each other,
Yeah.
which made for an energy that just served the show
Right.
even more so.
And you would do would you what would you do?
Pre-show warm-up?
Yeah.
So every day was different, but every day it was, I get on the stage, the audience is in. I've seated the audience with my
Right.
team, so now I know them,
you know
right?
them, yeah.
And have been mingling with them the whole
Right.
time. But also, the producer in me, I'm dealing with all of the technical and production pieces
Right.
that go into the show that day for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Various reasons. And the people that haven't showed, the people that we're holding seats for, all of that stuff for television. What does it look like? All of it. And then I would just read the script real quick to know what the content of the show was. Because
Right.
if it's not Beyonce and it's, pedophiles, I'm not coming in like,
Right.
yeah,
you ready today?
let's get on your feet for
Oh
pedophiles.
my God.
Right.
That's so funny.
So
Write
you
that
had to have the right, feeling
Right.
for the
Right.
mood for the topic. And then I would just welcome them. And then it was straight into using the audience and how they responded to each other. Of course, I would always, tell them to, thank the person next to them. Because
Right.
you couldn't just take anyone to Oprah. You took the person that stood by you in
Right,
life, your favorite
right.
person. When you got tickets, it was not like you were just
It's
taking
not like a random.
some
Right.
rando, right? You were taking a person you love most. So we did a lot of that, and
That's great.
and it was just a lot of improv. I
Yeah.
will say, I in college, I was always an athlete, and my senior year in college. Well, my junior year, I'd gone away to take a semester in Washington for journalism. I came back and they had built an art center on my campus. And I was like, oh my God, show business has finally arrived.
Yeah,
Yay. I
yeah.
always knew I wanted to work in TV. And so I couldn't take TV courses there, but I would do internships and this semester away. And so I was like, I'm going to quit field hockey. And because I was playing JV as a senior.
Yeah.
I don't even think JV exists. It's club now, but whatever. It was JV.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to try out for whatever musical that they're going to
Yeah,
do.
perfect.
And it was Chicago.
Ugh.
Okay. I didn't make it, but I made it to the final round. And the coolest part is I also found out about an internship in television when I was in Washington, in Chicago.
Yeah.
I got that. I didn't get the show, the musical. I got the city. So Chicago was going to be
Great.
part of my story. But what's the coolest thing is I loved that feeling of being on a stage.
Yeah.
I am not a singer or a dancer. Wish I was. But I loved the feeling on the stage. And so I took an improv class.
Mhm.
And I had no idea that by taking that improv class, how it would serve me on a stage in Chicago.
It really does.
So it was
Yeah.
like this whole thing, this Chicago, the stage,
Yep.
finding my way to the stage that worked for me.
Mhm.
And then, getting the job in Chicago, then Oprah's here, then I get that job. And then they hand me a microphone and they're like, go talk to the
Boom.
audience. And I was like, what do you mean?
Okay,
And then it happened. I don't think any other talk show uses someone like me. I think they always use stand-up comics.
I was just gonna say they use a lot
Because
of
in New York,
yeah.
it's all stand-up
Yeah,
comics. And I'm sure it is the same in LA. But I think Oprah was a different show. It was a different experience, different culture, and it
Right.
worked. And I'm grateful for it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really, could not have learned more.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
sweating my ass off every day,
Totally.
head to toe,
But it's like
pouring down sweat.
But that's what training it,
It
know?
was
Like that's
pure training.
yeah.
And I could go 30 minutes. I could go 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever they needed,
Right.
I could do. I could fill.
That's an
and
incredible skill to have.
it is.
Yeah.
It helps. And the key is that when I was failing and had nothing left to say,
Mm-hmm.
use the audience.
Mhm.
And that was the key.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
anyone out there trying to be a comic,
Yeah. Use the audience,
the
talk
audience.
to them. Don't be afraid of them.
Yeah.
They're there to have a good time.
okay, final love round. Things that you love the most. Favorite season that you love.
I love fall.
Me too. Favorite TV series that you're in love with?
Fleabag.
I love. Okay, I need to watch more of it though because I'm so all about Schitt's Creek. But now that's
Schitt's
ending.
Creek also.
I know. So funny.
God, there's so many.
So funny. Okay. Comedian you love the most, if you had to pick one.
I really do love Rory Scovel.
Okay.
He does a different show every time. It's so good.
Favorite part of the process of being a comedian?
When a joke finally clicks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Favorite thing you love about yourself?
Ooh. My strength.
Your strength.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I feel the strength in you
Thank
when you're teaching. I feel the strength of you when you're performing. And I'm so grateful that you took time out of your busy comedy life to be on my little podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was such a great conversation.
I pray that this lands on someone's heart, and anyone out there who thinks that they might be maybe going to try stand-up comedy, try Fem Com if you're in Chicago. If you're not in Chicago, try anything in your city that is, especially if you're a woman, taught by women. It's an easier way to get in. If you're a dude, it's okay. Find your place. We all have a place on the stage.
Yeah.
Your audience is waiting.
I love it.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Alex. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.
I have loved speaking with you today, and I want to speak with you more. So follow me on all of my social platforms at Live Love Speaks on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you want more stories like the stories we speak here on the Love Speaks series podcast, go to lovespeaks.com and pick up a copy of my new book, Speak. Love your story, your audience is waiting. To step up your speaking game and your human game. Check out my blog while you're there.
Sally Lou Loveman is a mom, speaker, author, former audience producer for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and founder of Love Speaks. Each week, Sally Lou and her crew have a conversation about how love speaks in their lives and how it can speak in yours. From kindness to composting, no topic is off limits. If you need a community to kickstart your heart, you need the Love Speaks series.
Thanks for listening. Your Love Speaks.